what Camp RYLA was. When I agreed to it, I did not realize it was sleepaway camp. I did not realize that it was outdoors. And I did not realize that I would be there for 5 days. How I got myself in that predicament. So the first thing you have to know about me is the outdoors utterly terrify me. I am definitely afraid of bugs, all bugs, even the small ones that don't bite and sting. I don't really like to sweat. I'm not much of an outdoorsman, and I really hate bugs. Also, my experience with teenagers had been very limited, so I think I was more afraid of them than I was of the bugs going into it. In fact, I had a business retreat before, and I almost broke down while trying to tell them what I was about to embark on because of all these fears. So this brings me to my next slide. I did what every responsible person tries to do. I tried to back out the week before RYLA. Mr. Wayne Gates did not let me. He drove to my place of employment to convince me of the beauty that was RYLA, and I agreed to go. And he is a saint. Josh, who is his right-hand man, is also a saint. They told me I was going to have the time of my life. I did not believe them. I went. I paddled all the way there. I got there, and I had more than the time of my life. I actually had one of those moments in life where your perspective changes. RYLA is a perfected design. Josh and Wayne and the people who came up with the concept, and each RYLA is different, came up with our concept, have thought it through. They've made the changes to the program to make it perfect for our youth. So things that I noticed is that there's a district mixture. People from all our district come together. The counselors come from all over, the kids come from all over. They break the kids up into a team so that the kids are not on a team with other kids they know. So immediately it forces them out of their comfort zone. Something that I did not get to experience because I never went to camp until I went to college. And what a time to have to feel like you're out of your comfort zone without any other time. The day schedule is they get you up about 6:30 and you go till about 11:30 p.m. It about killed me. I have a 4-year-old. I thought that I could, live without sleep. I was mistaken. So they keep the kids busy. The perfect thing about the day schedule is that the kids have to serve all the meals. They have to take turns serving each other. They then go from breakfast into sometimes a volunteer activity for the Owl Center where the camp is. The beautiful thing is they have 2 guest speakers who come and talk about leadership skills from all different viewpoints. Sometimes the way that this person addresses leadership is completely different than the way this person does. Then we take a break for lunch, and the beauty of the schedule is they then make them do team activities. Right after they heard people talk about leadership and team. And how wonderful it was to hear that. There's also a consistent message being taught to kids. We live in a society where thoughts are being put at us from all different angles, a lot of them controlled by our consumer culture. Well, here we have people saying, this is really how it is. This is the skills that you need to be a leader, and this is the responsibility that leadership is. It's not all glory. It's about owning an obligation to your community. Which brings me to my next slide. The great thing about it is that the activities they have the kids do are teamwork building activities. So these kids have been selected from high schools all over our district. They already show the ability to be great leaders. So they come into it thinking, I am a leader. What happens when you have a team full of leaders? Complete mayhem. So they had to learn about when to be a leader and when to be a follower. That is great. My team, the green team, had that realization very early on. There was a volleyball game. We had some kids in our teams that were athletically adapted. We had some kids that weren't. And when we first got in there, my team was like, we're going to win this. It's all about winning. About halfway through the game, one of our team members was not as athletic. He just couldn't get it. He looked at his other team and he said, I'm going to sit down because I don't want to be the reason we lose. And immediately, I saw these athletes on our teams, these leaders in that athletic field, step back and say, no, we want you to keep serving. We want you to keep trying. Let me show you how to do it. They stopped. Even though the other team was like giving them a hard time, saying, come on. I saw those kids have a moment where they said, no, it's more important that was showing how adept you were. And why that's important, as a young business leader, it took me a long time to realize that every person in my office's skills were as important as the next person. And it's knowing when to step forward, and more importantly, when to step back as a leader. And that's something that I wish I would have learned when I was in student age versus as an adult. Every evening we had a session that was have a wrap-up where we asked the kids what they learned, what they took away from the day, and to hear what they actually processed, the information that they actually gleaned, and how that increased over the week was an incredible opportunity to have the kids open up about how their struggles with school and the things that they're going through, to hear them problem solve for each other, but more importantly, to tell you how to fix your problem, to just listen to someone else. These are skills that are being taught at Camp RYLA. I think that our society will be seriously lacking if we don't invest our time in future leaders. Now, this is a phrase as the Executive Director of an Arts Council working with youth, I said over and over again, but it wasn't until I was at this camp that I understood that it was my responsibility, that it was my job to help people foster future leadership skills. Not someone else's, not some program that I was talking about, but me personally. These are future citizens. What always drew me to Rotary versus other clubs where I could have a networking opportunity was that they cared about investing in the communities that we live. People that are Rotarians believe that. They just don't say it. They really do believe that. And it is important for us to introduce high schoolers to that concept. Which brings me to my last point. Why is this camp important? Because we have to have future Rotarians. We have to have the first time that they hear about Rotary not be when they're a young person in the business world, but earlier than that, so that when they enter the business world, they seek out those clubs and seek out the opportunities that these clubs provide, the opportunities to give back to the community that we live. If we don't invest in the places that we live, we won't want to live there anymore. And the first night, we had a speaker talking about service above self, which I heard repeatedly since I joined Rotary. And I realized that part of serving above yourself is knowing when to put yourself on the back burner and step forward and take responsibility for the programs. And that's what RYLA was to me. It was about connecting with other Rotarians and meeting people who consistently give back to their communities, and people who understand that that isn't just a motto that I have to hear once a week, but a lifestyle that I should practice and one that I should pass on. The students gave each other awards at the end of each night, and one of the awards they gave to camp counselors, mine was most committed, because the kids said I gave up time with my daughter to spend time with them. And that meant a lot to me, because as a working mom, it's something that I struggle with, balancing. But I feel like my time at Camp RYLA was investing in not only her future, but the future of the kids that are going to be her generation. And the biggest thing I wanted to say today was that Camp RYLA has a lot of benefits, but one thing I noticed that they need is more Rotarians as camp counselors. And that's what I'm here to say. They had kids who had been through RYLA, that were college kids that came back and were counselors. And they did good. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. In fact, it's great because they can probably connect to the kids. But something that they cannot provide the kids is real life experience of what it's like in the real world. And those conversations that happen in between moments where they ask you, what do you do for a living? How do you do that? I didn't even know that was a real job. I was asked that previously. Is that opportunity to tell them and to demonstrate that model, that you can step away. They take the kids' cell phones away. One of the things I struggled with was putting my cell phone away, and that was a great aha moment for me. That I need to disconnect from my own life and give back to the community. So if I have one thing I would like to say, Mr. Wingate has done a fabulous job. I think that he would do this for the rest of his life. But there's still going to be a point where other people have to step up and take that responsibility at Camp RYLA. So even if you think that you can't give up a week of your time, I think that you can. There were camp